Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 15th of December and let's start with the today's Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. In this particular video, we shall discuss the entire analysis, we'll discuss the entire newspaper, we'll take articles along with their background as well as detailed way forward. And also I would like to tell you that if you want, you can download explainer notes of this session from Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, let's take overview of newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are relevant in today's newspaper. So here on first page, we have this article, terror charges invoked in security breach case. So we have seen that a few of the people, they have entered parliament and against them terror charges have been slapped. There was a security breach that happened. Now, this is guys all about it. However, I will, because see, there are so many articles that are coming that okay, security plan was revised one day back, they got entry from this this side or this gate are now being changed. All these things not necessarily important for our examination. From questions on that particular dimensions are not asked, so I will advise you not to waste too much of time in this particular thing. Then further moving on, 14 opposition MPs suspended from House. Now, we have seen that the opposition MPs, they have basically they have asked the questions from the government with respect to this particular breach that has happened. Though they have been suspended because of the disruptions that they brought in the House, but it establishes or it shows a bad precedence that have started, that nowadays we find that more and more MPs are being suspended from the proceedings of the House. Fine. Then guys, moving on in this particular direction. Moving on in this particular direction. So then we have these advertisements, etc. And in the regional section, we have largely the regional issues that we have. Okay, so nothing much important is given. These tenders, etc. are there. Advertisements. So we'll be moving on and we will be moving on. Fine. And here we have an article, India's fastest solar electric boat launched. We'll see, because such kind of a trivias, for example, they might give the name of a boat and might ask that it was recently in the news what it is. Okay, so we'll take it up. Then we have the states pages. Again, the regional political issues have been given. Moving on guys, in this particular direction, we'll reach to editorial page, and in editorial, largely the articles that have been there today, they are talking about COP28. Fine, that has been culminated. We'll take these articles. For example, keeping it relevant, this article is talking about COP, Conference of Parties 28 meeting, what important things have happened. Fine, here this article also is talking about COP28. So we'll take both of these particular article. Then going authenticity in post-authentic world, we'll take this particular article also for the examination. Okay, principled shift, India must take a more vocal position on Gaza with Israel. Okay, so it has been said that as humanitarian crisis is going on, India needs to put a clear stand. Okay, is India doing enough to tackle climate change? We'll take this particular article also for examination. Then further moving on, text and context section. Now, is Russia winning the Ukraine war? Now guys, basically as we talk about the Russia-Ukraine war, okay, so we have seen this particular thing that nearly 2 years have happened for with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war, and they are showing that what are the positions of the different countries in this particular war. Okay, so basically here what happened, so basically we have seen that the counter offensive was launched by the Ukraine. Now given this counter offensive by Ukraine, what has been the impact on Russia, what are the positions where Russia is involved, etc., it has been provided. Now, do you require to track this particular article? I will not advise you to go and read this particular article too deeply. Why? There are certain reasons. Understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about this ongoing war, things change on the daily basis. So whatever is happening today, that particular situation might change in the coming 1 month. Okay. And secondly, guys, that as this is an evolving issue, questions why might not basically the probability of getting questions asked here also is not that much. Okay, moreover, the more important reason is that the things they are getting changed on the daily basis. Okay, then nitty-gritties of everyday war, etc., you need not to require to see for the examination. Then around the world on account from the 54th International Film Festival, Okay, then guys, further moving on, here we have an article, follow CBI manual on seizure of electronic devices. We'll take this particular article as what it is talking about. Then further political articles etc. have been given. Day after security breach, several changes take effect in parliament. Accused had carried out a well-planned conspiracy, tender for redevelopment, security infrastructure. Okay, all these things, no needed to track. Then further moving on, urgent need to control use of e-cigarettes, says WHO. We'll take this particular article for examination. Okay. Then guys, further, okay, activist Ali Abu Awad and pianist Daniel, okay, Bernabeu win Indira Gandhi Peace Prize. Okay. Now, moving on guys, in this particular direction. World page, Israel bombs Gaza as rift with the US widens. Okay, no peace in Ukraine. So basically we see that two of the articles, they are almost fixed that they will be there on Russia Ukraine and Israel Hamas war. Okay, then further moving on. Okay, Fed surprise dovish pivot lifts Sensex to a record high. So Sensex has breached the 70,000 mark, which is happening for the first time. Okay, then further we have then the sports page. Okay, and post sports page. Fine, post sports page we have science section, which sometimes contains important articles, but sometimes articles are not that much relevant, to be very frank. So today's article that we have is, did COVID vaccination have a positive impact on mental health? Now guys, when we talk about the mental health, there are many conflicting viewpoints that have been there. One viewpoint is that the COVID, and in fact COVID vaccine has aggravated mental health issues, anxieties in the people. But some study says that no, other way around also is there, positive impact has also been there. Now understand this particular thing guys, that what these are just the studies that are being peer reviewed now. Okay, as of now this is not an established stance that okay, vaccine had a positive impact or had only a negative impact. These research etc keep on going. Okay, so I will not suggest you to go in this particular article. For our science and technology, applications on science and technology, issues in science and technology, these are something that are important. Now, so that is all about this newspaper's overview, and now let's take all relevant articles for the examination one by one in detail. Okay, so I told you that you can download explainer notes of this particular session. Now in these particular notes, we have a GS quotation that we take every day, which can help you in your essay papers or in ethics and other GS papers. So today we'll take quotation from William Slim. We'll take quotation from William Slim. William Slim says, moral courage is higher and a rare virtue than physical courage. Now, first of all, what do we mean by courage? So often people think courage is absence of fear. No, courage is not the absence of fear. Rather, courage is acting in the face of fear. You have fear, okay, you are frightened, but taking action even in that fear for the right thing is courage. Now, physical courage, okay, it is important, but more important than physical courage is moral courage, okay. The moral courage is to take stands for the right and ethical things, to raise your voice against the right as well as to protest against the wrong. That is the moral courage. So when we talk about Gandhiji's steadfast opposition against violence, Gandhiji's opposition against Britishers and the British practices, it was an example of moral courage. Okay, so you can use this particular idea in GS paper number 4 ethics, integrity and aptitude. So that is about the GS quotation for today. And now let's take first article. Okay, urgent need to control. Okay, let's take the first article. Urgent need to control use of e-cigarettes, says WHO. Okay, now guys, for the sake of prelims, science and technology, let's first of all understand that what these e-cigarettes are, and then we'll understand that what this particular article has come out with. So we'll take this particular article with respect to the prelim, science and technology, e-cigarette, the structure of an e-cigarette, okay, as well as for health, GS paper number 2 will also take this particular article. Okay, now guys, when we talk about an e-cigarette, so the e-cigarette, fine, also they are often called as the vaporizer, vapes, etc. Now, when we talk about the e-cigarette, first component of an e-cigarette is a sensor. There will be a sensor. Now, whenever a person is making a drag, okay, when a person is making a drag in this particular e-cigarette, this particular sensor will sense that particular thing, and sensor will send the signal to a processor. Now, what this particular processor does, this processor then switches on heater. It switches on the heater, which is also known as atomizer. Okay, so again I will explain. Whenever a person is making a drag in this e-cigarette, this particular sensor will send a signal to heater, which is called as atomizer. Now understand this particular thing, that in every e-cigarette there will be a cartridge. This particular cartridge will have a liquid kind of a solution, okay, and what this liquid solution is, so liquid solution, it contains nicotine, which is dissolved in propylene glycol. Nicotine dissolved in propylene glycol. So what will happen? This heater will heat this particular cartridge, which will contain nicotine dissolved in propylene glycol. Okay. Then guys, what happens? As somebody will then make a drag, what will happen? Okay, a vapor, smoke like vapor will be inhaled. Fine. And this vapor gives a person feel, and it gives a person a feel that a person is smoking a real cigarette. Now, when we talk about this particular cigarette, e-cigarettes, they have been introduced as the substitutes for smoking. So people who are trying to quit smoking, they can use these particular e-cigarettes because its shape, find the smoke, okay, and the flavor, etc., it pretty much imitates cigarettes. But over the years, this particular thing has come that actually these e-cigarettes might be more addictive than regular cigarettes, as well as these e-cigarettes might even be more harmful. Unintended harms of these e-cigarettes, for example, this particular solution, okay, when it is being heated up and when when it is being inhaled, how it is impacting, this study has not been done, and it is being suspected that it will be even more harmful. Now, in this particular capacity, guys, WHO has come out with a report, and WHO has highlighted this particular thing, that these e-cigarettes today are being promoted as effective solution for quitting the tobacco use. But rather than helping the people to get to quit the tobacco, they themselves are becoming more addictive. And it has been said that there is an urgent need to control the e-cigarettes in the countries, as well as we need to reduce the exposure of e-cigarettes to the children. Now guys, when we talk about the regulations with respect to the e-cigarettes in different country, so as per the WHO, 34 countries are there which have banned the sale of e-cigarettes. 88 countries are there which have no minimum age for e-cigarettes. They can be sold even to children of the age of 12 year, 14 year. And 74 countries have no regulation in place of these harmful products. And when we talk about India, India has effectively banned the e-cigarettes in 2019. So we came out with this Electronic Cigarette Act 2019, which has banned the possession, sale of e-cigarettes. But I have told you this particular thing often, that in India, problem is not the absence of law, problem is implementation of law. Though this regulation act is there, but as of now, you also know that these e-cigarettes are very freely, easily, they are being sold at the shops. So implementation is not there, that is true thing. Now WHO provides this particular thing, that exposure of these e-cigarettes on social media can be associated with increased likelihood. So often people, they are flaunting e-cigarettes on social media, and they ignite an interest in young children that we also want to try it once. Okay, so nowadays, this YOLO philosophy has become quite popular. YOLO stands for you only live once, and driven by that, even today youth, they are trying out harmful things, bad things, okay, which is obviously a wrong understanding. Moreover, it has also been provided that showing these e-cigarettes on social media promote positive attitude towards the e-cigarettes. So therefore, on social media, they are to be regulated. And it has been provided that when we talk about the data, in the age group of 13 to 15 years, more children in 13 to 15, they are consuming e-cigarettes. So their consumption is more even than the adult. Okay, so this is something. And we need to up till now the impacts, long-term impacts are not fully understood because it is a relatively a new development. So we need to be careful on that particular direction also. So that is all guys about it. And now let's move to next article. Okay, COP28, many a slippery slope ahead. Okay, so we have won this particular article. GS paper number 3, climate diplomacy, GS paper number 2 will take this article, and below article keeping it relevant is also in COP28. So climate diplomacy, environment related international negotiations, GS paper number 3, or plain COP28, conference of parties 28, and its outcome. We'll see this particular, both of these particular articles. Now, I have told you background of this issue so many of times that I even don't remember. I think almost every day we discuss this particular thing because in past 15-20 days this particular development has been going on. Let's again revise that thing. See, COP stands for Conference of Parties. So this particular year, Conference of Parties 28 held in Dubai. Now every year the countries who are the members or who are the signatories of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, they meet and they discuss that what they can do to reduce carbon emissions, what they can do to reduce the negative impacts of climate change. So this year meeting was in Dubai. Now the article provides this particular thing that Dubai meet this particular year. First of all guys, it was important for two important things. Largely there are other things also which we have discussed in the papers already. But first, it was most important for GST, that is Global Stock Take Exercise. Now, what is a Global Stock Take Exercise? So, in Paris 2015, we, the member countries of UNFCCC, they have agreed that they will ensure that temperature rise should not happen beyond 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial level, and if possible will ensure that temperature rise should not go beyond 1.5 degree. So better is 1.5 degree, it should not go, but 2 degrees Celsius is the red limit. So this is something that we have to achieve, and for that different countries will come out with different plans, INDCs, intended nationally determined contributions. Okay, for example, India also has provided this thing that we will ensure that 500 gigawatt of renewable energy is coming by 2030. Okay, 2.5 to 3 billion ton of carbon sink India will develop. So likewise, every country have taken the targets. Now global stock take was an exercise to assess that given the actions that countries are taking, are they on the track to reach what we agreed in 2015 or not? So are we reaching there or not? For that, this global stock take exercise was carried here. Okay, now it will be a 5-year review that will happen. So 2023, next will be after 5 years, 2028. So this was the most important, and then the other important thing is phase down of fossil fuels. Phase down of fossil fuels. Let's understand this particular thing. So basically guys, when we talk about today, fossil fuels, they are responsible for 75% of all greenhouse gases and 90% of global carbon dioxide emissions. They are because of the burning of the fossil fuels. Now, up till now, we have largely focused on coal. For example, in COP26 that was held in Glasgow in 2021, the member countries agreed to phase down coal consumption. But this particular year, we have taken not only coal, but all the fossil fuels we have taken, and we have talked about phasing down of all the fossil fuels that are there. Now, when we talk about COP28, now this issue we have taken earlier also. First of all, even before the COP28, there was enhanced anxieties and concerns in the minds of climate activists. Why? Because you see this thing that this year COP28 was held in a Gulf capital, Gulf country it has been held. Moreover, when we talk about this COP28's president, so who was the president? President was Sultan Al Jaber. President was Sultan Al Jaber. Now Sultan Al Jaber is the head of Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, world's largest oil and gas producer. And he on record has said this particular thing, that there is no science backing up that climate change is happening because of fossil fuels. Also, this particular thing, when it came out in the public domain, it led to a big controversy also. Okay, and also it has been found, this particular thing, that from the past few days, more and more delegates from oil companies, more and more delegates from special interest groups, they are attending these COP meetings. For example, this year 2000 delegates, they were representing the oil companies or fossil fuel related companies. So this is something that is happening, and even they are being given the open access to the main negotiation rooms also, where they might be influencing climate discussions. Now, one positive thing that came out of this COP28 is that they have adopted that we need to adopt deep, rapid and sustained reductions in global emission. Okay, for example, they say that if we want to reach the targets of Paris 2015 that I told you just 2 minutes back, we need to ensure that 43% emission reduction happens by 2030, 60% emission reduction happened by 2035, and net zero is achieved by 2050. Now, one thing here in article, they have mentioned it is compared to 2019 level. So 2019 is a base level. For example, in 2019, 100 units of carbon was being emitted. So when we talk about 43%, it means 2019 level we are seeing. Okay, so this is something that is to be done without any compromise to attain the climate goals. Also, guys, it has been provided that there was mixed responses in phase down and phase out. Now, basically, guys, what happens? Developed countries, they are promoting see, two particular type of groups: climate activists and developed countries. They insisted that phase out of fossil fuel should happen. Now, what is a phase out? Phase out means that you need to take a deadline by which complete elimination of fossil fuels, particularly coal, will happen. You will not burn any coal for electricity, thermal power plant, no. So phase out means complete elimination of coal on fossil fuels. Developed countries, why they are supporting it? Developed countries are supporting it because, guys, see, developed countries say this thing that developing countries today are responsible for emission because they are the dependent on coal and fossil fuels. Okay. Moreover, developed countries, they have a capacity. Anyhow, right now they are not dependent on coal that much. They are moving towards a transitional energy. Moreover, if developing country will also adopt this transitional energy, they will get an additional market. Climate activists, they are opposed to phase down. They are supportive of the phase out for obvious reason, because that is their special lobby that is there. They are there. Okay. Now, developing countries and oil companies, they don't support phase out. They support phase down. Why developing countries support phase down rather than phase out? It is because developing countries says that right now we cannot invest significant economic resources for energy transition. We have a lot of people to feed. We need today subsidized and cheap energy, and coal still gives very cheap electricity, cheap energy. So therefore they don't want to go for phase out. They are supporting phase down. Oil companies, why? Because when we talk about phase down or phase out, fossil fuels also will be coming in the radar. It will impact the interest of the oil companies. So this is the equation that has been there. So what India supported? India supported phase down and not phase out. Keep this particular thing in your mind. Okay. Also, what happened? Initial draft that was floated in COP28, it contained the word phase out. And because of that particular thing, developing countries such as India, they become very angry and they said that will not adopt this particular draft. Then the second draft in COP28 was prepared and it carried the word phase down. Okay. Now, it carried the word phase down, and this particular thing now is not liked by the island nations. Climate activists, they say this particular thing that it has not done anything. They say this particular thing that half-hearted bullet point options have been given. Okay, they say that for example, these vague terms, that reduction of fossil fuel, such kind of things have been given. No financial assistance promise has been given. Now, what are exactly the problems in this particular draft? Let's discuss them one by one. First of all, the countries say that there are loose definitions. For example, they have used the word phase down of coal power. Now understand this particular thing. Low carbon fuels, low emission technologies, low carbon hydrogen, okay, transitional fuels. These words have been discussed. But what is the meaning of this low carbon fuel? What is the meaning of this low carbon fuel? Now, for example, coal and oil and gas, both are fossil fuels. But if you burn coal, more carbon emissions happen. If you burn oil and gas, less carbon emissions happen. Okay, so if we see by logic, by pure logic, oil and gas are low carbon fuels. Oil and gas are low carbon fuels, but are they safer alternatives? No. But are they low carbon fuels? Yes, compared to coal. Compared to coal. Okay. Now, guys, understand this particular thing that low carbon fuel, low emission technologies, they have not been defined, which keeps a lot of room open for subjective interpretation. For subjective interpretation. Then next, they have discussed about that we need to focus on carbon capture. We need to focus on carbon capture, utilization and storage. Now this is being discussed for more than a decade. Carbon capture and storage, carbon capture and storage. But up till now, commercial viability of carbon capturing has not happened. Okay. Then CBDR, common but a differentiated responsibility principle, was not adequately discussed. Okay, CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility, it recognizes the fact that ensuring that we take some steps for climate change, it is a common responsibility, but differentiated response has to be there. Means a developed country will do more, developing country will do less. This CBDR has not been discussed adequately. Then good thing that happened is loss and damage fund. Now loss and damage fund was agreed in Egypt COP27 last year. What is this loss and damage fund? So basically climate change as it will happen, some countries are going to get impacted for sure. Their tourism will decline, their important trade cities that are on the coast, they will get submerged. So definite loss will be there. So for compensation of that particular loss, loss and damage fund was created. Now on the first day this particular loss and damage fund got created, we discussed it also when this COP28 started. Okay. And $470 million mobilized on the first day itself, and up till now $700 million has come. But this $700 million is nothing. It is just peanuts, even less than the peanuts. Also, there is no mechanism that how it will be replenished. Okay, there is no yearly commitments from the countries. Fine. So these all things are the bone of contentions in COP28, and still you cannot say it a grand success. You cannot call it as a grand success. Now moving on, we have this next article, authenticity in a post-authentic world. Authenticity in a post-authentic world. We'll take this particular article, guys, with respect to essay paper. Okay, essay paper, we'll take this particular article. Also, we'll take it for threat of cyber technologies, GS paper number 3. Cyber technologies and their threat, GS paper number 3, we'll take this particular article. Now, moving on. So basically, guys, Merriam-Webster dictionary recently has released word of the year. What is the word of the year? Word of the year is authentic. Word of the year is authentic. Okay, authentic. Now, last year, 2022, word of the year was gaslighting. Word of the year 2022 was gaslighting. Now, what is gaslighting? There was a movie also, Gaslight, which came few days back, or I think months back. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a phenomena where a person tries to deceive other person, and they try to manipulate other person, that other person is not worthy, other person is not mentally sound, other person is a bad person. Different ways is there. For example, you are convincing that particular person, you are manipulating other person, you are using lie to the other person, you are deceiving other person that you are bad, you cannot do anything in right way, you are dumb, you are foolish. Okay, so manipulating that person and creating a negative image of that person in the person's own eyes, that is gaslighting. That is gaslighting. Okay, so last year word of the year was gaslighting. This year the word of the year is authentic. Okay, now it says that today we question authenticity. Today we doubt everything. Today we doubt everything. Okay, and it is said that more we question authenticity, More we value authenticity, always it happens. For example, suppose, now see, today you want to buy honey, you want to buy natural, real honey. And today, let's say 90% of the companies are selling fake honey. They are selling sugar syrup, maple syrup, colored syrup in the name of honey. And you know that almost all the countries are selling fake honey. They are selling adulterated honey. So by that, just by the knowledge of this particular fact, authentic honey will become more expensive. Authentic honey will become more, it will become something which will emerge as a delicacy. Okay. So when we question authenticity, we start valuing authenticity even more. Today we see that entire world looks fake. Entire world looks fake. So just a glimpse of authenticity. When it is visible, people like it much more. People like it much more. Now just guys, I want to, you'll connect with this particular thing more. Today you see that on social media, there is this particular new phenomena that we see that it has emerged. Just a minute. See, nowadays we see that these web series, okay, or basically on the YouTube, fine, YouTube, the YouTubers, the programs that they are making, they are gaining more attraction than the very nicely presented Bollywood movies. Today, if you are watching the vloggers, today you might have seen that a new class of vloggers have emerged which show their crude, raw lifestyle. And these kind of influencers are being liked more by the people. Liked more by the people. Why? Because authenticity is visible in that. So therefore, today we are valuing more and more authenticity. Now see, today artificial intelligence's emergence have happened. And because of the emergence of artificial intelligence, today what has happened? Today hyper realistic images, hyper realistic videos, hyper realistic, now today artificial intelligence, they can even write opinion pages. Okay. Okay. Today AI avatars are prevalent on the internet. Okay. Because of this particular thing, today we are valuing even more authenticity because fakeness, it looks more genuine. Fakeness looks more genuine. So therefore, what is authenticity? We are valuing it more. Even recently, Elon Musk said that on social media, people should present themselves as more authentic. Taylor Swift strives for an authentic voice. Now, what this authenticity means? What does this authenticity mean? Different people have defined authenticity in a different way. For example, authentic is having one's own personality, one's own spirit, one's own character, not showing, not imitating anybody else. Okay, fine. This we have defined or defined as authenticity. Now, when we talk about authenticity, so Ruzu said this particular thing that we should never be impacted by other person's opinion and we should maintain our true nature, our true self. However, other philosophers, the philosophers of existential schools such as the Sartre and Heidegger, they said that external influence will always impact you. They are unavoidable. You cannot live in a vacuum. Okay, they will shape you. Okay, but even in that, maintain your own individuality. Maintain your own individuality. Now, guys, today we see this particular thing that today it has become more easy, it has become more cheap, and it has become easy, it has become cheap, and it has become effective to circulate fake media, fake stories. And since 2016, it has increased even more. Now, guys, just I want to highlight here one particular word, that is post-truth. That is post-truth. So post now, in fact, in 2016, I guess 2016, what happened? Post-truth was nominated as the word of the year. Now, what is the post-truth? So we use post-truth politics, post-truth society, post-truth world. Post-truth world is a world in which people value emotions and sentiments more rather than the facts. Post-truth politics is that politics which is being fought more on the emotions than fact. For example, politicians today in elections, rather than asking vote on issues, they are asking vote on religion. They are asking vote on nationalism. So what they are doing, they are appealing you on the lines of your emotions. So when emotions and sentiments become more important than the fact, that world is called as the post-truth world. Okay, that society is called as post-truth society, and the politics fought on this facet is called as the post-truth politics. Okay, so what happened post 2016, post-truth world, it is emerging where people value more sentiments, and in that fake news, fake information has just been infused, which today has created all these particular problems. Now today's AI, artificial intelligence avatars, they look hyper realistic. The media that today artificial intelligence is creating, it is hyper realistic. And today, and one of our AI scientists, Nina Schick, one of an AI scientist, Nina Schick, has also used the word infoclips. Infoclips. Now, there is a word apocalypse. What is apocalypse? Apocalypse means pralaya. Apocalypse means an event which will end the world. That is apocalypse. Okay, there are many movies also on apocalypse. Okay, apocalypse, an event which will end the world. That is apocalypse. Infoclips means what will happen over the coming time. Information might bring a kind of an apocalypse. Information might bring riots. Information, with information, actually fake information, disinformation, misinformation, it can be used to ignite riots, to ignite tensions in the society. Okay, and this particular thing today is happening. Why? Because mainstream media, social media, difference between them is getting blurred. Today most of us are consuming our, today we are consuming our news from WhatsApp. Today we are consuming our news from Facebook. Okay, they are not the mainstream media, they are the social media, and we think whatever social media is showing us, that is true, and therefore we can fall prey to misinformation, disinformation, propaganda quite easily. Also, this misinformation, now according to journalist Michael Grothus, says that we are approaching towards a society where trust no one will prevail. Trust no one will prevail. Now guys, what is happening because of this inauthentic information that is circulating? It helps the liars through liars dividend, Now see what will happen. Today everything is just being discarded as a propaganda, everything is being discarded as a deep fake video. And actually in that, even the real information is being discarded as fake. For example, suppose a minister has made an inflammatory speech, or minister had on record said something which is full of hatredness, and that particular thing, let's say, come in the mainstream and it becomes an issue. Minister will say that I have never said this thing, it is my deep fake video. In actuality, reality person did that, but now person is refusing because he knows that this deep fake is there, and the person is taking advantage of that, negative advantage, which is a liar's dividend. Okay, this is something that is happening. So today authenticity has become more and more relevant, more and more important, and we try to achieve it. Next article, is India doing enough? Is India doing enough to tackle climate change? Okay, so basically guys, the article is again on COP28 that has now been held, and a lot of content in this particular article will overlap with the content that we have seen in the second article, because both are on the same theme, same topic, same event. So as we have discussed that in COP28, countries have met and they have decided to transition away from fossil fuels. Okay, they have discussed to transition away from fossil fuels. And I have already told you that this is different. Why? Because up till now we have been opposed to only coal. And in COP26 also, as I told you earlier, that COP26 was held in Glasgow, we talked about phase down of coal. But today we are talking about phase down of all fossil fuels. Originally they wanted to use phase out, but India said that no, will not go for phase out, will go for phase down, but phase down of all fossil fuels, not the coal. This is something that is happening. So we are transitioning away. Now guys, when we talk about India, see, this is a fact that today India is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases. We are the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases. But if you compare the per capita emission, why we are third biggest emitter? Because we have the largest population of the world. If you see per capita basis, we are still having the lowest emission on per capita basis. Now this particular thing puts India in a unique situation. Being a third largest emitter, developed countries on every platform, they say that India should take some binding agreements. India should do more because you are the third largest. And even by that, other developing countries also sometimes gets convinced. But India says that we are the per capita basis, we are the lowest emitter. India says therefore will not do anything. So this particular issue all the time it comes there. Now, when we talk about the COP, I told you that in this particular COP, loss and damage fund has been created. Now, India today is a net importer of a lot of fossil fuels. For example, 80% of all the petroleum demand of India is met by imports. 50% of its gas demands are met by imports, and a sizable amount of coal demands is also that India is having. 50%, 51% plus India's electricity is coming from coal. So in energy sector, coal still has a big importance role to play. So through import, through using our own domestic coal, we are actually burning a lot of fossil fuels, And now the world countries are looking at what India is going to do, because India's actions will play a very important role, because India has such a big appetite of fossil fuels and coal is there. So therefore, everybody is seeing that what India will do. Also, the world countries are looking at how India can bring industry leaders and can bring the finances ecosystem together to ensure that we move towards green growth, but at the same time, jobs are also not compromised. We are moving towards the goal of $5 trillion economy, but at the same time, environment is also not getting compromised. This is something that we need to do. Now, when we talk about India, India already has come out with production linked incentive scheme. India has already come out with a performance-linked incentive scheme. Now, what is performance-linked incentive scheme? In the performance-linked incentive scheme, we identify the different sectors, and in those sectors, we will provide incentives to the industries. For example, incentive of 3 to 5% of incentive on incremental sale will be provided under the PLI scheme. And solar and battery technologies have been the sectors which are identified under PLI. So today, if you want to start a factory of solar panels, battery technology, if you want to start, semiconductor is also there, many other industries are there, electronics are also there. So for solar as well as battery technology, government is going to give you a performance linked incentive. For your incremental sale, incentive will be given to you. Now it has been said that, see, today we understand this particular thing, that environment is a big issue. Okay, environment is a big issue. But see this particular thing, we cannot give up the coal. Now see, guys, today economic growth of every nation is seen through GDP. Now when we talk about the GDP, see, coal. Today coal contributes 50,000 crore rupees in output. Coal industry is contributing 50,000 crore rupees. It is creating jobs. When we talk about solar photovoltaic cell sector, solar PV means solar photovoltaic cells. Solar photovoltaic cell, their output is 7,000 crore rupees. Okay. Coal output is 50,000. Coal is a 50,000 crore industry. Solar PV is 7,000 crore rupees industry. So when we talk about the coal is being said is 20 times the size of the solar sector. So therefore, coal is going to be an important component of India's economy, and we are not going to give it away right now. Okay. But that is not a right approach. We need to ensure that how environment and growth is to be managed at the same time. Okay. So this is something that is there, and now India needs to take a lead in this particular direction. Okay. So guys, that is all about it. And now moving to the next article. Follow CBI manual on seizure of electronic devices, Supreme Court to agencies. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, fundamental right to privacy, article 21. Let me give you some background, and you can note it down in your notebook also if you don't know. Supreme Court in Puttaswamy case ruled this particular thing, that right to privacy is a fundamental right under article 21. Okay. Now there is one particular issue that has developed, and we have discussed it multiple number of times earlier also. What actually is happening now? The raids are being made on journalists, and when they are being raided, when their offices are being raided, their electronic devices such as mobile, laptop, PCs, tablets, they are being seized by the enforcement agencies. And now these journalists, they have approached Supreme Court, and they are asking that it is a violation of our right to privacy. Most, if you want, you can take the copy of data, but you cannot take our laptops, devices, etc. Now guys, if we see in the last few months, 300 devices have been seized from 90 of journalists. So they have moved the Supreme Court. And in Supreme Court, this particular case is going on that whether these electronic devices can be seized or not. Now, in this particular direction, Supreme Court has provided this particular thing that as of now, enforcement agencies, they need to follow CBI manual to protect the integrity of personal data stored in electronic devices. So now see, you don't need to read this CBI manual. So CBI manual, whatever safeguards it has provided to ensure that personal data is not distorted, that CBI manual's guideline is to be followed. Now, one thing, this is not the permanent solution. This is not the permanent solution. Supreme Court has provided this particular thing that center will frame the proper guidelines for dealing with these particular devices in the next 6 weeks. Okay, fine. So the CBI manual would be followed till the center brings out new guidelines in the next 6 weeks. Till that, CBI manual will be followed. Okay, so as of now, no need to go too much in this particular article. When these new proper, for example, IT rules 2021 came, they brought a lot of guidelines in that, and what it was important for exam also. Same way, when new guidelines will come, we'll need to go in that. But as of now, for a makeshift, for a temporary measure, they have said that CBI manual is to be used. Now, moving in this particular direction. So we have this article, just a trivia, one line. So what has happened recently? India's fastest solar electric boat has been launched. And this particular India's fastest solar electric boat, it is called as Barracuda. Now Barracuda, it is named after a swift long fish by the name of Barracuda. Okay, it has been launched at the Naval Solar Electric at the yard of Navalt Solar Electric Boats. This is the fastest solar electric boat of India. Okay, and as it is solar, as it is electric, it will run without vibration, without sound, without noise, will not be polluting to the ecosystem. Okay, that is about it. Now, how meter long it is, how many passengers it will carry, what is the electric wattage, these things are not important, okay, for the examination. Fine. Now guys, moving on, and let's take mains practice question for today. So question that we have for today is, do you view the COP28 outcome as being reasonable? What do you think is the role of developing countries in this regard? GS paper number 2 as well as 3, 10 marker. That is about it. So guys, with this we come to an end to the today's session. I hope guys that you have liked the video. Please do hit the like button if you are liking that.